There is growing outrage this morning over a Holocaust museum in Florida, unveiling an exhibit dedicated to George Floyd. This is from a local news report. They interviewed the photographer behind the display. Watch.
When you walk inside the Holocaust Center in Maitland, you'll be able to see some of the faces of those who mourn the death of George Floyd.
So my goal is for people to simply come through the exhibit, to hear these stories, to look at these faces, and to be open to considering the world in a new way.
Bringing Dov Hikind now, a former New York State Assemblyman and founder of Americans Against Anti-Semitism. Dov, this is a sensitive topic. Either way you cut it. And I want to point out really quickly, the person that runs this says they're trying to use it as the Holocaust Museum as a vehicle to look at current events and what's happening, specifically with social issues. What is your reaction to hearing that story out of Florida?
It is an insult to the memory of the 6 million. It is an insult to the 2 million children who were murdered by the Nazis. My mother went to Auschwitz in 1944 with her mother, other members of the family. All members of her family went straight to the gas chambers. To bring the Floyd exhibit into the Holocaust, I mean, it makes no sense. It's outrageous. Look, you want to do something regarding Floyd, a terrible tragedy in America? Do it, but do it somewhere else, for God's sake. It is really insulting. It is insane. I don't know. I wish I was in the room when people made this decision. It's not about Floyd and the tragedy of Floyd. What in God's name does that have to do with what happened in Nazi Germany, the torturing of millions of people, the brutality, the gas chambers, and so on and so forth? It is an absolute insult to the memory of the 6 million.
There's another criticism of it, and I'll read it to you because the argument that you brought there, the other one says this. This is someone that put this on Twitter in regards to this news report. It says, George Floyd is added to a Holocaust museum, ? That trivializes and distorts the Holocaust and its 6 million Jewish victims, and it grotesquely implies that American police are Nazis. That's the other thing, is that was a big discussion, a big criticism, that it could underlyingly compare police officers to Nazis if you're putting them there at the exact same memorial.
Absolutely. It's the wrong message in every single way. I mean, I got to tell you, I don't know what the hell is going on. How this could happen. Look, we just finished a period with the Democrats calling our president Goebbels, calling our president Hitler. I mean, this is out of control. Do these people not understand what the Holocaust was all about? What the brutality, the experimentation on people that went on in Auschwitz with Mengele? What in God's name? My God, you want to, mourn the tragedy of an individual? Go do it. Create an exhibit. Do it somewhere else. That's all I'm saying. What does that have to do with the Holocaust? It is really a very sad commentary on what is going on and the individuals that would permit something like this to happen. I mean, Floyd, the Holocaust, does that make sense?
Let me jump in real quick if I can.
It is mad.
I'm limited with time with you. That's the only reason why. I don't mean to cut you off at all. That story out of Orlando, right outside of Orlando, a town called Maitland, Florida. I want to take you, though, back here to Brooklyn. A wedding at a synagogue in Brooklyn here, a Hasidic wedding, earlier this month, where thousands showed up. Governor Cuomo called it illegal, disrespectful. Now we're learning the city is conducting a formal investigation into a wedding in which reportedly 7,000 Hasidic Jews showed up for this wedding, violating the orders, the stay-at-home orders, or the how many can gather. What have you heard about this?
Look, having thousands of people in this kind of environment is not a smart thing to do. But are we going to investigate the tens of thousands of people who go in the streets and demonstrate, or the rallies in support of Biden after the election? I mean, do we hear the governor or the mayor of New York expressing their feelings about that? People are outraged by the double standard. What happened at this wedding should not have happened, plain and simple. These are wonderful people. I represented this community for 36 years in the New York State legislature. It was wrong. But what about all the other things that are going on that the governor is silent about. Not only is he silent, he applauds those other things where tens of thousands of people are in the streets without masks on top of each other. That's okay. But the Jews, that's the problem.
The point you bring up is one many share right now. I appreciate your voice. I appreciate you sharing.
Thanks
it
for
with
having me.
Dov Hikind joining us live. Dov, thank you.
Appreciate it.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.